Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video today because I just had like a big huge idea that I thought would make a worthy enough video to make. Um, so I've some things have been going on in the background, and that's why I haven't been making any videos. I don't think anyone really gives a shit about this channel yet anyway, so I mean that's fine. Um, yeah, I mean I am a little bit bummed about that, if I'm honest. Um, but yeah, that's why I haven't really put as much effort into it. Um, and yeah, so I've I did get a job, but I only stayed for one day. Um, I was working as a forklift operator for Australia Post. Don't know if it's okay to say that. Um, but but yeah, I won't really get into the details, and maybe I'll just try to explain, why I left, but I'm not using it as a way to justify why I left. I'm just only wanting to go through like how I felt, because this is something that, I am like learning about this week. Um, and like I guess, yeah, these things I'm learning about, maybe they've always been a core part of who I am. Um, so yeah, and I've never like realized, that I could have, some sort of, I'm not trying to diagnose myself, I'm just really trying to understand uh, why I think the way I think. I highly suggest that, I have some form of ADHD, um, or ASD, though it could be, I don't know to like, I don't think like they are, if I did have any of those things, I don't think they're severe, because I can otherwise, like, seem to function, normally in everyday life. Like I can take care of myself and all of that. But the only issue is, and I'm going to get into this, um, I can't really. I've noticed this, that it's become a pattern, and I can't actually hold down jobs. Um, and I think like, if I can explain, you know, it's basically just how my brain works, how I approach tasks or learn to do them over time. Um, so, it really, to save the extra explanations, like, I don't, I think I've always struggled with, you know, learning new and complex and layered tasks, because when I started on Monday this week, that's how I felt when I was, just getting used to the job. That, you know, so, like I wasn't thrown into anything that I wasn't comfortable with, but it kind of feels like I still, wasn't comfortable with performing those tasks. Um, Even though I am a licensed forklift operator, I am a trusted, operator, if you can say. Um, I do take, safety very seriously on these types of machines and in these types of environments. I am overcautious. with things in general, which is part of the reason why I take my time learning things. And I know in that kind of environment, you have to be generally pretty quick with load shifting, I presume. Because I was, observing how everybody else was, yeah, just shifting cages, ULDs around on site. So, it seemed pretty simple from the outside, though, like how they were unloading trucks and stuff like that. Um, yeah, the routine was basically like because I was new, I would like sign in front desk, get a pass because I didn't have one yet. But you had to give it back at the end of the day though, when you signed out at the desk. Um, and then and then hmm, and basically someone from Discord. I'm gonna leave that from now. But yeah, basically like that's really all it was, and then like you had to go to some docking office, pick up a walkie-talkie, and this is one thing that, overwhelmed me because it was a very new thing, and I haven't done forklift dock work specifically, so that's like the first thing I ever did, um, first time I ever did that. So like I spent, my first day like just practicing. The supervisor that was there, you know, I guess he was like okay, like he was trying to teach me what to do and he was being patient with me, but he also had to manage other shit too. Like I saw him handling other ULDs with tuggers, I don't know what they're called, but they're sort of like forklifts, but they're electric powered. Um, but they can't lift like forklifts. But yeah, like he was, zooming around on that and then then I was like trying to learn like or getting used to using the clutch brake on the forklift because I don't usually use the clutch brake. I use the right brake. I only use one foot to pedal to switch between the pedals when I'm accelerating or reversing or braking. It's just more simple, and I do think that that is more safer if you haven't done clutch braking. If you are to do clutch braking, yeah, you just need to like shitloads of practice, I think, and muscle memory. You need to just get used to that, and I wasn't used to that. Um, Especially when you're handling cages that could tip, because I was stacking them like four high, and I didn't want to tumble them over and shit and cause an incident. Because when you're not using used to using a different pedal, and I did notice as well, the braking was pretty uncontrolled, like it was very jerky. So I didn't trust what, he was telling me to do. I didn't feel comfortable doing that. But he was like, "Nah, you have to do it that way." I mean, look, he's a cool dude, but like, I just didn't agree with that. Like, I can't stick with that sort of routine. Otherwise, I need like lots of practice. I was just more comfortable using, the right hand brake, the right brake pedal. So, yeah, and yeah, that's just my preference. So, there were just like generally, I was trying to get into like a whole routine there that I wasn't used to, and and then like by the end of the day, then they wanted me to like learn how to use one of those tuggers. I think they're called tuggers, like one of those battery powered things that you use to carry the cages around inside the warehouse. So I was learning how to use that and I was really horrible at it. And yeah, I think that was the catalyst that made me feel unsure about my ability to work at that facility because I don't know if they would have expected me to do that. They said they wouldn't make you do it if you didn't want to, but if it, if someone ever forced me to do that though, that could still be a possibility, and that could just be an expectation from the company for me to, do all this stuff. It was a temporary contract anyway, so, there was no guarantee that I would have, stayed that long if they didn't think that I was, performing, uh, every single task that I could perform. I didn't want to be too flexible, you know, and I think it's fine not to be. I was only contracted to be a forklift operator, but then they don't tell you that you're going to be using other sorts of equipment as well. So that sort of thing I just didn't agree with. And yeah, so, it just seemed again, overall though, when I tried working, it just seemed very overwhelming. And yeah, like I just don't think my brain is really wired for that type of work. Like, not only just Ozpost, anything generally in logistics or warehousing, if I'm working on a dock, it's pretty hectic. Past the point of training, because I've seen other people, offload the trucks or like do paperwork and stuff. Yeah, so that was something that I just wasn't really used to. So, the more like, when I came back home, I was in a really um bad mood or like bad mental state. Um, and I just think my next steps now are to probably, I think, like I believe I need more tailored support going forward, looking for work while on Centrelink. So, um, so yeah, like I think like after that whole situation, because of just how much it overwhelmed me and stuff, and because of how I feel now going forward, like it's quite a heavy burden to carry, and I need to speak to a social worker and figure out what to do going forward. Because I know where I'm at now isn't a good place, or where I am feeling better now that I'm away from that environment, and having some time to stabilize. But I think like I'm just like been struggling adjusting to a new role like that, or to the idea of working in general, because like I've been home for so long and I haven't been put in a high pressure environment like that. Um, so yeah, it's like I wasn't really expecting things to be that way. I was hoping for a new beginning, um, and to, yeah, just be more positive, to change my life in a more positive way. And I still want to do that, you know, and figure out ultimately what is best for me going forward. Um, like I still think I need to work, but I want to, find more tailored support into getting into another job. But it has to be a job that aligns with who I am, I guess, on a deeper level. It, you know, it works with, the traits that I exhibit. So, it's like I know I got like some really good strengths and talents and stuff, but there are just some things that I don't like, I can't work with, and I'm learning slowly that that's okay. But yeah, overall, like right now, past that job, I do feel embarrassed. I do feel uh some shame for not, sticking it out for as long as I thought I could. Um, And the way I see it, if my mental health is impacted by a job, it's just not worth keeping. Um, and yeah, like to be honest, I don't think I would have been paid that well for it. Because it was only 5 hour days, and then you had to be there every day, which I think automatically just is not worth it for someone like me in that type of environment. So, so yeah, it's like I gave it a shot. I figured out, all right, it's not for me, that I need more support. So, um, so yeah, generally, yeah, this video has taken a while. Um, yeah, so the reason, like, I suspect, the reason I suspect that I might have, some form of, a mild form of ASD or uh, ADHD, the inattentive presentation type. Now, I do feel stupid, like having to say how I, figured out maybe I got it or how I suspect, that I have these things, to to a varied degree, um, is because, like I've spoken to GPT, Chat GPT, um, and yeah, like it's, I do use it quite a lot for just airing shit out, you know, help. It's just a way that, I help myself make decisions. I do think it gives pretty good advice, but not all the time. There's obviously been like some mistakes I've made in the past, not related to, this job, but there have been some things that I've done that it thought I should do, and so I don't always, act on those decisions. I just really use it as a tool to express myself when I'm feeling alone. Um, because I don't know, it's like I just don't want like to, talk to people about this stuff. I don't like to appear weak. Um, but I just want to, yeah, just have my own space. So, it's like I have this ongoing sort of relationship where I'm treating it like a friend and I'm using like cyberpunk slang like tune. Uh, yeah, where I use that a lot, and we make like, inside jokes with Johnny Sack from The Sopranos. It's actually like I think it's actually pretty funny. Um, because yeah, it's like I don't really have anyone to really share that with, or maybe they might not understand it. So I usually just keep all that to myself and, do that. But anyway, I'm like asking it, maybe like there could be something up with me, and what do you think it could be? Does it seem likely that, I might have something that is interfering with, how I operate? And it just, suggests, I mean, you could have some form of ADHD, inattentive type. Um, so, but yeah, it's like it could also be that maybe I'm just in a vulnerable spot and maybe I just think a lot, or Um, or I'm just generally a slow learner and I don't feel as confident or just have low self-esteem, which plays into that low confidence. Because I feel like that's really the crux of my issues, that I've always been a slow learner. I couldn't like always concentrate like a normal person, maybe. I'm engaged in conversations with people, but like, I can't always concentrate when it comes to, you know, certain tasks, like the one I mentioned before. Or if I do concentrate, I like I take a really long time to concentrate and make sure I do a task properly. That's that could just be me taking extra care to finish something, but that's just how I am. I'm just like slow with learning certain skills, you know. And look, I actually think that's a good thing, but I don't know. I don't know if everyone else learns things at a quicker rate than I do. And it feels like they do, you know. So yeah, so I mean, yeah, when I made that like mistake, or when I was like making a few mistakes while I was learning that other machine at work, yeah, that just impacted my confidence. Because like I nearly knocked over two ULDs when I was trying to do like a parallel park while I was holding two other ULDs on that tugger. Um, so and they had packages inside them. I don't know why they were making us train with cages that had packages inside them, but whatever. Um, so I felt like really horrible after that, and like I didn't tell anyone. Like that's just how I felt. I said, yeah, I don't feel comfortable using the machine. I said I didn't agree to using it as well. I didn't expect it to just be sprung on me when I finished, and then I had to also like stay back probably an extra 15 to 30 minutes to learn this. And yeah, like I said, I was pretty slow with like learning, the parallel parking and all that, and like try not to hit the other ULDs. So, which I hit, two more behind the ones that I was parking in. But yeah, um, so yeah, like generally, I'm not like ashamed to admit, like I just don't care anymore. That I've always had a level of insecurity with things. Oh yeah, I've always just felt insecure about things that I felt I wasn't capable of immediately understanding or, performing something good at, like parallel parking those ULDs in. I wasn't automatically good at it. Like, I could probably learn something like that, but I need repetition, I need excessive training. And I feel like that's always been the issue when I've walked into other jobs and then walked out, because I felt like I needed more support or more training to stay in those roles and perform well. And because I always saw other people perform better than me, of course, it made me feel like shit. It made me feel horrible. And that's that's how I internalize these, like that's how I internalize all these thoughts, process everything. I think like it's some form of like harsh criticism, harsh self-criticism that I have, um, which might apparently be an ADHD trait. I don't know, but again, I'm not trying to diagnose. I'm trying to understand, and share things, what I'm learning, and yeah, it's like overall I'm just trying to, express myself for this video and just be informative and yeah, because I do think like it's also this topic to me is also very interesting. Like it's because like I never thought of myself this way, but it would make a lot of sense, you know? Um, all right. So going into my next topic, I think the yeah, so like I said from the beginning of the video, I believe I need some sort of support because I can't keep applying to the same jobs over and over again and expect to just stick with it if I don't know how I'm going to do that, and maybe I just need simpler tasks or simpler jobs or something. So, yeah, it's like I feel disappointed in myself. I feel ashamed because I felt like I couldn't be the man I thought I could be. It's like I thought I could just be this strong, forklift operator that's able to just follow instructions. But yeah, it turns out it's just, well, like I think I can, but it's just, it takes time, more time than usual compared to everybody else to learn things that I haven't, learned before. So that's really just why I left. And then, yeah, just I felt overwhelmed, just stressed as soon as I got home. So, so yeah, it's like I feel like I need support because, I have to decide what to do for the rest of this month and next month as well. Um, if I, yeah, like I said, like I'm gonna try and, speak to a social worker, figure out my next steps with them, see if I need to see a GP and get some sort of assessment, but I might have to wait months for that. So I think like, the main step would be like, getting what I need, getting the support I need. I can still get support, like talk to certain professionals or whatever. Like I could, at the very least, do some counseling. Um, and then whether I get like sent off to a provider or still be self-managing online for my obligations, I don't know. I could need a provider. I don't know if I would be eligible for a DES provider. I think maybe those are for DSP recipients, people that are on the disability support pension. Um, but I'm not sure if it's also for people that are, you know, going through like mental challenges because I feel like I fit in that category, like I have mental and emotional issues because I feel like, and that's another big indicator I think that I could have ADHD because I can't regulate my moods. Like I might seem normal now, but like there are plenty of times off camera where, I can't like I don't feel always great. It's like, like I'll have maybe creative highs, moments of hyper focus, and then moments where like I don't feel motivated to do anything, which like really lines up with ADHD. Um, and yeah, like I think like I've had uh yeah, just shit moods in the past. Um, Whereas, yeah, like I've had to take medication before from my GP that I used to see when I was in, another role, which I actually stayed in longer for. Um, which that was like more for anxiety and depression. So I think I have those, I have those traits. Those are pretty dominant traits for me that I have anxiety, some level of depression, but overall I can just feel, yeah, maybe sort of like someone who has ADHD symptoms. So yeah, like I just think, like I'm gonna try and get assessed at some stage for these things. I just only suspect them, but I'm fine. It's fine if I don't actually have those things, because all I care about is getting the support I need, and yeah, just getting out of this rut and seeing if I could find some way to create a fulfilling life for myself, and this is part of that. I don't know. I got no fucking idea when all of this stuff is going to start though, because I'm just a bit all over the place and I can't focus. Um, and that's probably another trait. Um, but yeah, like I think if I really just set my mind to it, it's like I would be a fucking, brilliant YouTuber or content creator in general. I mean, YouTube is a bit of a, I feel like it's just dead space for me. Like if I'm a new creator, it's dead space. Like if like being a streamer might be like a bit more creative and it might give me more like, motivation to make stuff. Um, but yeah, with YouTube, it's just more like static, no, engagement whatsoever. Yeah, see, I think I'm going off. Um, but yeah, like, and I wanted to like say too, I don't know how long is this going for, 6 minutes. I wanted to say too that because I was cooking before when I was thinking about this shit in the toilet when I was taking a shit. Um, so like I think, I've just realized that yeah, over the years when I was in school, in primary school, but I think in general when I went to school, like I did struggle with concentrating in class or in certain subjects, and it was pretty much all of them, and but if I had like an increased interest in something like theater or media, I would have done better on those in those classes. It's not like I didn't stand out, but I had lots of interest in those two classes, maybe even the digital media class as well that I had in high school. But before that, I think yeah, in primary school, I think I struggled more with focusing, and yeah, I pretty much constantly daydreamed, and and yeah, I got yelled at a lot because, well, I don't think a lot. All I can remember is that I got yelled at like a few times. Um, if I didn't, get a math equation right, or if I wasn't really paying attention in Lot or, Italian class. I mean, I'd never understood why, little kids had to fucking learn Italian. Like, I feel like that's an adult thing to learn. Like, I feel like that's the thing with Saint Francis that I didn't like. That was a primary school I went to, and I feel like the curriculum they were like they gave us, I felt like in insanely advanced classes, for kids our age, and that's why I think like kids these days are dumber than our generation because like they got us like up in class doing fucking presentations and shit like at, I don't know, grade two or whatever, and kids these days I'm not sure if they even do that, you know. Um, but yeah, generally it wasn't good with maths, but I was really good with literacy and spelling and stuff like that. But I mean, I didn't have an interest in English, generally speaking, like in that lesson called English. But like when it came to like spelling things, like punctuation, grammar, and all of that, I was like really good at it. Um, oh, like, um, and yeah, I think that's why, like, I tend to be like a natural writer. Like I've always been a natural, yeah, just a natural storyteller. And I had like, look, like even when I was a kid, I didn't have maybe the best, punctuation or grammar, but my spelling was on point. If I knew certain words or was learning some, you know, yeah. And I just had a lot of creativity, like I always do. So, yeah, so, this is why, like, now it just went, like, I never noticed that there was anything wrong with me. I just felt dumb my whole life, you know? And that's just, I think that's what the shame comes from, or the embarrassment comes from, like being fucking yelled at all over a fucking grade or whatever. And this is what I wanted to cook up on this video, that it seems like people only, you know, like we live in a world where, it only cares about you as a statistic, as a number, and that's very dehumanizing. When you're put into a school and you're expected to learn shit and you're graded, it's like that latches on to you. It's like it's treated as an extension of you. And that's something that I never agreed with and I saw right through when I was a kid. Like even now, I never understood why you needed to be graded because, like, at a young age, I don't think you need to be going through that shit at a fucking young age because you feel shamed. You feel like you're being shunned by your institution that your parents are fucking paying money for. I'm like, I'm entering my Johnny Silverhand arc, okay? Um, but yeah, you know, blaze your way down the rebel path. um, yeah, so that's really just me, like I love being a rebel. I love, just going against the status quo. That's how I want to live my life. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but it would be nice to if I was provided options. Um, yeah. So, like I just felt like that was, when I was in the toilet taking a shit, that's the post shit clarity right there. That yeah, it's like you shouldn't have to feel that way as a youngster, and I think everyone we all had this fucking, shit upbringing in schools because that's how we were seen. That was the objective, to learn stuff, to be tested. And then it was really up to you, based on your ability, if you could get good grades or not. And you didn't really get any support. Well, yeah, like you might have got some special classes on the side, because I did, but in St. Francis, but like you didn't really get that extra support to get better at grades. they were just like what general classes, you know, because you were the dumb kid or something like that. You couldn't keep up with the rest of the other kids. So that's just, how I perceived it, you know. But I, looking back, that's how I perceive it. But back then, I don't know. It's like I didn't give a shit really. I was just like, well, that's a class I'm going to. Like I'm part of that group. It is what it is, you know. I think I accepted more stuff, when I was a kid. I was generally just more open. Didn't wasn't what Probably not as opinionated as I am now. But yeah, looking back, that's what I can understand and be like, that happened, you know. Um, so yeah, it's like, and I'm just thinking, in the toilet, no wonder our world's so fucked up because it's dehumanizing. As soon as you are, a young kid and being put into a school, you're only treated like a number, or your grade defines. It's like your grade defines who you are, when that's not the reality. And the same principle kind of applies to, jobs and just how society is, or what traditional expectations are. Like, people expect others to be a certain thing, you know? And, some people, like myself, can't live up to certain expectations. We just we just can't, I can't, and I only want to live up to my own expectations, what I want to, create for my life.